One vote. Just one vote. This is the stuff of movies. Thousands of votes cast in an election, and the winning candidate wins by exactly one vote. You will meet that candidate in a moment. Kevin Costner made a fun movie about this idea called Swing Vote, in which the presidential election comes down to one vote cast by a guy down on his luck and out of work, played by Kevin Costner, who spends the entire movie trying to decide who to vote for president and becomes a bit of a hero in the process. The one vote story happened this time in Connecticut, and it sounds like the kind of story that could only happen in the movies. A high school Spanish teacher decides to go knocking on doors in his small town, telling people that he has decided to run to be their representative in the Connecticut House of Representatives. He ends up knocking on 5,300 doors, and he ends up getting all but 3 of those votes, 5,297 votes. And his opponent gets 5,296 votes. After a recount, the official vote shows the high school Spanish teacher winning a seat in the state legislature by exactly one vote out of 10,593 votes cast. That seat in the legislature, won by Chris Poulos, was once held by Connecticut's United States Senator Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy tweeted a text message that Chris Poulos received from a voter after the recount. The text message said, "Good evening, Chris. Just wanted to offer another congratulations. We spoke with my grandfather at dinner about a week before the election, and he shared how you had knocked on his door twice. He told you he was going to split his straight Republican ballot to vote for you, and you shook his hand. It meant a lot to him, and in such a close race, I thought it'd be an anecdote you'd appreciate." That is a story we all need to appreciate. That is the story of the power of your one vote. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut and Connecticut's 2007 State Teacher of the Year and now State Representative-elect Chris Poulos. Thank you very much for joining us, both of you. And Senator Murphy, I beg your indulgence. Normally, we would begin with you as the senior member of this political force from Connecticut. But if it's okay with you, I would like to begin with the Teacher of the Year and the newly elected state representative.
By all means, okay. He is the star.
Chris Poulos, so you start off knocking on doors. What went through your head before that first walk up to a door to knock on that door?
Well, just to start, we knew this campaign was going to be an uphill climb. Southington, where we live, is a pretty Republican area, and our approach was to get out and get as much voter contact as possible. So I was excited. I previously served on the town council, and I had some experience knocking doors. And it's tough to motivate to get out of your house to get to that first door. But once you get out there and you start knocking, you get into a rhythm. And it's just inspiring to talk to people and to hear their stories, to hear what keeps them up at night, and to talk to them about what their hopes are for the future. And so once started, we just kept going. It was great.
And as a high school teacher, you must have been knocking on a lot of doors where you knew the people who opened those doors.
Yeah, I did know a lot of people knocking the doors, and I actually teach in a different district than where I ran for office. But having served previously on the town council in town, a lot of people remember me from past elections, and we talked all about our town. I grew up here. We talked about the way things used to be, the way things are, and the way things we hope be envisioned for the future.
Senator Murphy, so you knocked on those doors some years ago. What was it like for you watching this campaign develop? And I'm sure you had an eye on it when those returns were coming in and looking at an area where you always had to win those votes too. Did it feel to you like this was going to be this close?
Well, I had hoped it would be this close. There's two differences between the race that I ran 2 decades ago and the race that Chris ran. One, when I ran, this town was a little bit more Democratic leaning. Today, as he mentioned, it voted for Donald Trump in the last presidential election. But second, I didn't know anybody in Southington because I had just moved there a couple of years previous. And so I was truly introducing myself to everybody that I met. But when I met Chris, I saw the fire in his eyes. This is not an easy thing for him to do. He's got 2 kids, the same age as my kids. As he mentioned, he teaches in a